Thank you, Lawrence, for kicking us off. What is happening, my fellow people? We have a very special guest here in the Content Strategist Mastermind tonight. So Bryant was actually, we were going through kind of NLC around the same time. He was definitely further ahead than me. And he was one of the people that I worked with a bunch and really helped me kind of just dial some stuff in with campaigns, taught me a lot about how to kind of like position different things. And I want to bring up the one analogy that you taught me about going to the river to pan for gold. So we're definitely dive into that. And just overall, like really just kind of your whole backstory. Would love to just get into your journey as a creator and, you know, how you got into NLC, what things were like before NLC, you know, how you kind of adapted that into your own clients, your own industry, your own world, just to keep making moves and dominating. So without further ado, awesome. Bryant, welcome to the squad.
Thanks, man. This is dope. I haven't done this in a minute. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, you're creating, you're building stuff, you're doing stuff in your business, and sometimes you got to like put your head up and remember like, whoa, look how far I've come. You know what I mean? And you just like, some of the conversations even coming here is really dope. But yeah, I guess, do you want me to just give me like, you want me to give like a quick little intro spiel about
yeah.
Okay, cool. This is the most interesting thing. You'll definitely not forget me after I say this, but this all started with video and the internet because I went viral on YouTube in 2006 for doing razor scooter tricks. So if you type in Bryant Walker scooter flip, it was uploaded in 2006. I think YouTube came out in like 2005 and it has 100,000 views. And then outside of that, I just found out this recently because I still scooter. And so I have all these people like hitting me up like, yo, I used to watch you on my iPod Nano. Like, this is amazing. And like, I was like, wow, this is the power of video. But you know, the reason why I went viral is because there was bigger videos like world's craziest scooter tricks on YouTube. And like you see a black guy doing like a scooter, like flipping it over his head and landing on it without a ramp. That's like meme content. So like I go viral in that, and you know, it actually opened up my mind because before that, you know, I grew up on computers and stuff. So like my dad was part of the first company to sell domain names. So like it's called Network Solutions, and like fun fact, like Juneteenth around the corner, it's like that was actually a Black-owned business that like created like domain names and the domain name registry for like the government and stuff. So like I'm already different growing up with like computers and DOS and floppy disks and all that cool stuff. So, you know, I grew up around technology. It wasn't foreign to me, but also my parents also knew about computers. So I couldn't hide stuff. Like, you know, if I cleared my history, he's like, what are you doing? You know? And so long story short, though, I was always on the internet. So before social media and all that, I was an AOL Instant Messenger and all that, and on forums like GeoCities and, you know, these old school websites. And I used to, nobody believed your scooter tricks. So that's where the whole YouTube thing, like that being available, it's like, it was proof. And it showed me something in marketing, like marketing is just claims and evidence. So like you have a client, you have a business, and it's like all claims, like we're the best in town. Like everybody says that. Right? Or like, we're the fastest, prove it. Like, show me, like, just show me. That's the era we're in. There's so much content now. It's just like, show me. And so when I showed him like, hey, I did a trick that no one's seen before without a ramp. And it's like, yeah, whatever, bro. And then I put that trick out and it was just like, is this real? You know, and back then you had to have like a FireWire cable or like Dazzle. I'm kind of dating myself. So I was using Sony Vegas Video, good Lord, to do videos back then. You know, and it took like 5 days to send 5 megabytes, you know, but, you know, I kind of always had cameras. And so locally as a kid, I was not cool. I was the black kid wearing skinny jeans, skate clothes and all that in the 50 Cent G Unit era. So you can see how well that was going for me riding a scooter. But on the internet, I ended up becoming like my own community legend. And, you know, before we have, you know, we got Slack, we got Discord, you got so many channels of community and stuff. And then, you know, I just saw the power of video. Like I ended up in a magazine in France when I was 19 for scootering. And if I didn't put that video on YouTube, they wouldn't have known me. And I was just like, I'm in a magazine, like I'm in college, like freshman year. And like, yo, they wanted like I was asking my boys, a photographer, like, can you take some pictures? They want me to, like, I want to jump down this like stair set and they want to put it in the magazine. And he's like, what? And he was like, yeah, bro, you can be a photographer for a French magazine. You know, from Scooter. Like, what a world we live in. And so it just taught me how to connect people. And so kind of fast forward, you know, to now, I've always been creative and stuff. Started producing music when I was like 17, got a copy of Fruity Loops 4 and started producing music. And long story short, I did the same thing. I would upload beat making videos, but I'd use SEO. So I do like Canon T2i, again, dating myself, beat making video. So people searching Canon T2i, they'd hit my video, beat making video, they'd hit it. And I think I did like Drake type beat. So this is like nobody's trying to rank for these things and SEO and all that. It's early days. So that video got 100,000 views. And I used to sell beats on the internet. And I made like $2,000 a month selling beats on my website, conceptbeats.com. And so in college, like I had a website, people could go to my website. It was the e-commerce. So you could listen to beats, you could download it for free with my tag, which is like, what is music without a concept? Or you could actually like buy the beat. And it would be like, you can lease it for $25, meaning you can like use it for 5,000 albums, or, you know, you can buy it from me. Like I won't sell it to anybody else for like $500. And so in class, I was like, yo, I made $500. And they're like, what do you do for a living, bro? You just make beats. And I was like, I swear I don't sell drugs. I sell beats on the internet. This is like 2008, 2009. So they're like going to jobs. So again, it's just like, they're like, what are you doing, bro? Like you're on some other stuff. And, you know, but again, I did videos. So every time I noticed I did a video of me making a beat, it was like, I used to watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and he would have like how bread is made. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. Look at the bread get made. I want some bread now. And so like when I would make beats, like the artists kind of felt like they're in the studio with me. And so kind of seeing this connection between video and community and like commerce was like, I used to buy ads on this website that I had my beats on called SoundClick. You'd buy these little banner ads, and every time I spent like $50, I would make like $100 in like 3 or 4 days. So this is nothing like Facebook ads or Google ads, but it was like at least a place where there were a lot of artists, and you could kind of see kind of a stimulus and response, cause and effect behavior between like your creative work, your advertising. And that's when I kind of learned like there were dudes I was like, yo, his beats are garbage, but he advertised really well. And it was like a lot of people knew who that guy was. And they're like, well, there's a lot of people who like his average, to my perspective, my snobbish music production perspective, you know, thought his beats were good. And, you know, you see this plaque back behind me. I ended up producing also at the end of my career from just learning. So like kind of getting into NLC and stuff. Like I'd already kind of been building my business for a year. I was doing video production and social media management for clients. So I kind of did a predictable deliverables kind of approach, where I would like, hey, you know, do you need a video for this? We can do this. You know, do you need a video? And I was kind of competing on quality, but I knew I couldn't because there were people with like Reds, or there were like just the established production houses with the studios and all that. And I'm like, how do I attract somebody who's serious, but like not view me as like, hey, give me another videographer. Yeah, we need like a couple of those guys. Just like, can you be like a tripod for me? You're just recording the button and I'm just watching these terrible videos I have to film get made with like really bad stories or very selfish narratives, has nothing to add value to the customer. But I'm like, how does this person have so much money and know nothing about like relating to people? And I was just like, and I was like, I got to get out of this space. Like there has to, like, I don't want to be the guy just always in the GH4 chat complaining about clients. Like there's got to be a way where clients are not bad. Like this, there's no way these production houses hate what they do, and they've been here for 20, 30 years. And so, you know, I had gotten followed around by Paul's ads back in the day relentlessly. And 6 months in, I was like, this guy clearly knows what he's doing, targeting me. And going back to what I was saying, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna learn about ads and campaigns, I'm gonna at least go to somebody who's been able to invest in it for 6 months. And when I kind of got in there, I was shocked, because I was like, this is actually substantial. Right? I was like, you know, and you know what, I actually graduated. I went to business school. Like I have a degree in business administration, but they don't teach you like sales, you know. And before that, I worked out of college. I worked as an IT recruiter for like 3 or 4 years. And, I became really good at that. It was phone sales. It was like a boiler room. So, I mean, we're selling jobs essentially to Fortune 500 companies, and 60 other people are offering the same guy the same job. So when, Ceebz was talking about positioning, I had to learn how to position a job without changing the pay rate, without changing the hours, as something different. So I would learn how to actually connect with people. Like, hey, Ceebz, what's going on? You see your resume on the job market here, man. What's got you moving? My wife hates the heat down here in Florida, and she's trying to get up somewhere cold because her mom lives up there. And I'm like, okay. And I would use that anchor. I'm like, I've got the wife on my side. I've got a job up here in Rochester, New York. Let me tell him about the job. And I would always lead with the benefits, not the price of what he would make, because I made money off of like the margin. But if he wasn't happy and he quit, I wouldn't make any money. So I would find out the reasons outside of money that people wanted to like leave their job. And that actually got me into wanting to even learn marketing. So like I left that. I know I'm kind of going a little backwards here, but that was like, I did that from like 2014, 2017. 2017, I applied for a job at an agency in Charlotte doing crowdfunding ads. It's called Inventus. And I applied for a social media job, ended up getting a Facebook ads job there. And I was an IT recruiter. So I was like, I must be pretty good at sales to like completely change careers. So I was like, yeah, I used to, manage accounts, and I did that. And when I saw, like, that was kind of like a taste of ads of like, oh my God, like, cause I was managing like 30,000 in budget and stuff, but I'm like, building a whole company around that is like, managing it was like crazy, but then like building a company doing the thing, that was the thing I was like really struggling with. So like fast forward to like, I think it was like either 2018 or 2019, I came in to NLC, and it kind of gave me that structure of like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what they need. This is the value you provide. Here's how you can make it work for your world. Because one thing I liked about NLC is it was a framework approach versus like, I don't know, I used to get ads where people were like, this is the only way to do it ever. And I'm like, come on, I'm creative. Like, there's no way you're going to tell me that there's only one way to do something. Stop it. This was more like, hey, I'm going to give you guys like a couple different, what I learned at NLC is like focus on the business model versus the service. And so I was like, because when you look for a job, you're like looking for a career path. But as an entrepreneur, like I found out you got to look for the business model, because the business model is what keeps us afloat. I remember one of the guys at the ad agency, even I worked at, he was like, yeah, man, I used to own a Quiznos. And I was like, well, why are you here being like the director of ads? And he's like, well, he said one time these guys came in, and it was two dudes who owned Subways, and they would always come and get Quiznos sandwiches. And he was like, dude, why don't you just get a Quiznos franchise? And he's like, oh, we love their sandwiches, but we hate their model. Subway pays much better, and people are more likely to just want a cheap sandwich than an expensive fancy sandwich.
That's a good point that you bring up, because one, something that struck out was all the experience that you had kind of playing around with ads prior to NLC, which I also did, but I never really knew what was happening. It was always just like looks great, like, secondly, the framework to where we could adapt it like any way really that we wanted to run. So what were some of the clients you were working with when you were running ads with NLC and doing commercial campaigns?
So when I was doing NLC, I was a part of a BNI group. So I was kind of taking the networking group approach. So I was in another like group, and they were like, you should start networking. They're like, join a BNI group. At least you get to be in front of the people you're trying to sell to. Like, it's doctors and dentists. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not a cold call person. And I feel like in person, I can just sell better because they can get an experience with me, because I want them to see me more as a director versus a talking tripod. So, in doing that, I was working with like chiropractors or really professional service providers. And I was like, yo, we can make brand videos for you guys to share, like, hey, there's 1 million dentists out here. There's 1 million law firms. There's 1 million chiropractors. We need to share your why about what you do that separates you. And I kind of went on a run doing that, but it was still like video to video. So I didn't have anything that if I wasn't doing, like one of the summers, it might've been the summer of 2018, I broke my arm running out with Chinese food to my wife and my like young daughter because it was raining really bad, and I had flip-flops on, and just, I don't know if you can see my arm here, but it just, this whole thing just kaboshed right on the concrete. And I try to get up and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had to like get this like Mega Man robot arm like cast thing. And I was just like, how am I going to make money? And my arm is broken and I do video. And that's when I really like, I kept seeing Paul's ads. And he's like, what if you had retainers? I was like, that would
So
help.
when you were jumping into business, were those the type of clients that you were dreaming of working with?
I would say yes and no. I was trying to work with like I'm like, yo, this is a legit law firm. This is a legit like chiropractor. Like this is I was also in the networking group in like the richest side of town. So I'm like, well, at least I know they have money, you know, and they can afford and they do good business. But I guess when I talk about the Lord, that like when I talk about the dream aspect, I would say my offer was not dreamy. Like I was like, man, I would love to work with them, and if they could, my problem is like I could not get them to see me as beyond video.
Yep.
And articulate it. Like I remember one day, like you always do a 30-second pitch in there because it was like 50 business owners in there. So every like once a week, it's like Thursday at 8 and everybody pitches their business. And I'd be like, hey, I'm Bryant, we do video, you know, don't say what you do, show what you do, right? And they'd be like, oh, that's nice. Creative guy. My son needs to be ambitious. Like it was always like pat on the head energy. And I remember one day I was like, hey guys, I am not a videographer. I'm a business owner. And I'm here to actually help you guys increase your leads, reduce waste, and really be able to communicate your message with clarity the first time done right. And it was like, and after that, they're like, can we get your card? And I was like, what? And so like, that was kind of like moments. But even after that, it was still like, I would get these moments, like I get these meetings, but then they would be like, all right, so how does your structure work? And then that was like, you can do a video, and they're like, I don't need it. There was no sense of urgency, you know. But like after NOC, it was like, we can do a campaign, and it was like, you know, what are your numbers? And they're like, video guys asking me what my numbers are, video guys asking me about my cost of goods sold, video guys asking me about sales cycle. And I realized something really powerful. People don't do business with you unless they see that you're eye to eye. Like when I was positioning myself as a videographer, they were like, oh, we need one of those. When I positioned myself as a business owner, I was like, we could use a partner like you. And that when like that light bulb went off, and then I was like, all right, I got to have a good offer then. Because businesses, you know, I'm a nerd. I'm a business nerd. I always listen to like business podcasts, and there's one I like called like Business Wars, where it's like Netflix versus Blockbuster. I'm always kind of like listening to the play-by-play, but it's like, you got to have a good offer. I'm like, well, how do you craft an offer that like doesn't suck? And so like going through like, you know, the early stages of NLC for myself, really just getting like, okay, offer, creative makes the offer look good. Okay, stages. Like I had learned certain things about like different stages of awareness, kind of like what Ceebz was saying. I wasn't like just, I've never heard of advertising. I've never heard of marketing, but it was more of like, I've never heard it in a way that made sense to me, you know, where I could be like, this is actually, don't take this the wrong way, but it was like no hype. It was just very straight to the point. It was like, I wasn't like, you know, getting distracted with things that didn't matter. It was just like, this is them sad. Your offer make them happy. Here's how you fulfill it.
All right. So you figured out, you dialed in the offer, you got in front of people, you positioned yourself as a business owner. What were some of the first kind of deals that you were doing with commercial campaigns? What did they look like?
I would say
wise.
One of the first deals I did was with a dude. It was a real estate guy, and he was looking to build a gym. And it was like, I forget how many K. It's on like YouTube, because I'm right there to talk with Paul, and I was like, what the heck? I was like sharing what I do, but it was really like he was like, "Yo, I need to have a like an acquisition system for my gym launch, and we're about to build this gym, but people need to see like it's this really dynamic gym." It was like an all-in-one gym. So this gym was like, and this came from LinkedIn, because I was posting about what I do. And one thing that was cool about LinkedIn is the people who were in my BNI, they would like comment like, "Oh, this is amazing. We need a campaign like that." And then somebody saw that they commented, and then they DM me because she was like a VP at a bank, like a small bank or something. And he, I guess, goes to that bank, and then he was like, "We're building a gym, but how we need to be like profitable, we need to pre-sell members." So I was like, well, average order value, average order profit, going through the numbers and stuff with him. And he was like, "Yo, if you can build me a funnel and then these are the assets, like here." It was a campaign. I think it was like 90 days, and I think it was 10 or 11K, if I don't forget. And I was just like, but it was like broken up in 3 months. So it was like, say it's like 3,500 a month or something like that. But I'm like, wow, this is still the same camera I have. I do not have a red. I have a Panasonic GH4. All right. I have a Metabone speed booster with I got a nice Sigma lens and stuff, but I'm like, he did not care about my camera. It was like good enough to be positioning him as professional and the space is nice. He was concerned about how are you going to do these things and get me what I need? Like what are the things that you're going to do, and then how is this going to put me in a better position? And then I had another client which was a real estate, so I kind of was in the real estate space heavy. I had another client who was a real estate company, and I found this angle like this kind of, I took like NLC and like made my own flavor of an offer. It was so this was a real estate team, and I started learning like, work with teams, like work with people who are not like startups, but like say they already have an established brand or they have a reputation, but they're a best kept secret. And those people already know their numbers. Those people already have testimonials. They have everything you need to tell a really good business story and impact story. But I found out in real estate, my angle was a lot of real estate companies or like financial services and stuff, they have programs, but nobody understands what they are. So most real estate agents are like, "Hey, we sell a house. Come here." So is every other agent, or, "Hey, are you looking to buy? Come here." And they had a thing called the home trading program, but they were like, people are very confused about it. So my business started becoming positioned as, do you have an offer that's very powerful, that has great reviews, but people are still confused by it, and you need leads for it on a predictable basis? And I became the company that comes in. I can articulate what you guys do to the consumer market and build a campaign that is actually commercial campaigns. Like, we talk about NLC. Hey, here's a commercial about what the offer is. And then we're going to retarget with these testimonials. And then here's some value videos. And, boom. How many leads were you getting before? Oh, those are shared Zillow leads. Oh, yikes. Studying the market. It's like, these are exclusive leads, and then these are now people. Like, that program was powerful because people would be able to buy a house with them, and then they'd also make money selling the house. So a client like that, it's really hard to find a company who knows how to position your offer, create a commercial, and then run a digital campaign. Their options were run a bunch of TV ads that you can't track, with limited time spots, run radio ads, or you could do Facebook ads and stuff on your own, but they're like, you can't really they didn't understand the power of even having like an acquisition system. So I even learned from that client. I was like, "Do you know what your current customer acquisition cost is for your real estate clients?" And they were like, "No." We just do a lot of stuff, and then at the end we just look at it and say, "Hey, did we make more than we spent?" I said, "What if you actually knew how much it costs to acquire a home buyer or home seller? How many more leads would you actually be able to convert? And then you have a team, you could divvy this up. This could be something that you guys could use to not only scale what you're doing as a firm, but you could attract agents who want to be on your team." And they're like, "They're going to come with exclusive leads. You have this new offer, and then you'll be famous for your offer instead of just known as just another agent." And they're like, "What? You can do all this?" And I was like, "Yep." And in the first 60 days, they did over 1.5 million in real estate sales from the campaign, and we spent like a G or 1,500 a month.
How do we see that campaign?
Okay, yeah. So I'm working with a real estate agent right now. I've got her 3 leads right within the first month. She's we set up a seller campaign, and we've only spent $800 for that. The market's changing too, so I'm like looking at it to see if I need to readjust some of the ad stuff. But I'm super curious about the program and how you worked with that real estate team, because she has a huge, like, she's the top producer in her whole brokerage, right? And she has a team under her, but like people above her have said, if we made this work, we could like duplicate it. And like, I'm thinking about how can I duplicate it for this whole thing for buyers and sellers? I just like knock it out of the park. I've already got her leads. So
I would say this is one thing I learned, and this goes for any industry, especially if it's like services. Try to map out the customer journey. So I always ask, like, how do you take somebody from a stranger to a customer? Because what we're really doing is customer journey marketing, you know? And I say, okay, what places, like, and then I go and ask, like, well, what messages are they currently seeing right now? You know, like, I don't know. Sometimes I even use the Facebook ads library to see like what other real estate people in my area are running. And, you know, I'm going in that, just getting some research, and I'll find out, like, when I reverse engineer their customer journey, I'll be like, what's the, like, each touch point, say it's like 7 touch points to go from like, didn't know you from a can of paint to like, hey, I trust you, I sold a house. Awesome. Like, we want you for everything. And I was like, what's the worst phase? Like, what's the most painful, time consuming, confusing phase? And then if you like, they don't have an offer around it, create an offer about reducing friction around that touch point or multiple touch points. So like, I had another campaign, and this is real estate, was a real estate attorney. He drove to you for closings, so you didn't have to go to his office, and he didn't charge you anything extra. Made a whole campaign. That campaign blew up his law firm. Like, I'm not going to say the exact numbers, but it was a 7-figure campaign.
$1 bills, y'all.
You know, and he would just be like, this is insane. Like, how is this? Because I was just doing social media and video and content. It was just like a content retainer. But then I was like, hey, man, I think we can actually create a campaign. I was like, what's the most valuable thing to you? And so when you're talking to like your client in the real estate space, like, what is the most valuable type of client? So instead of even being like lead, to be like, what type of lead? What qualities? What criteria? Like, if you can have a dream person that's easy to work with, exactly what you want, everything you want, who are they? And then what do they hate? And then you get a list of everything they hate. And you create a campaign. It's like, this sucks, doesn't it? Yep. This sucks too. This sucks too. This sucks too. I feel your pain. That's why we created this. And then all you have to do to create an offer is just 180 whatever sucks. And this is awesome. 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 And then you rack your brain, you whiteboard, you dig with your client until you get that offer there and find out what that biggest pain point is. With him, we have a lot of traffic in our city. So like driving, like even 2 exits could be 45 minutes. So the fact that he'll drive to you, because the closing takes like 5-10 minutes. Oh man, convenience. I'll choose you. You know, and then he became known as the mobile closer. He even trademarked it. So he hit the offer that it was one campaign that scaled his business. You know, and he was sponsoring everything, you know, under the sun. So like, if you come to Charlotte, you'll see him. I will retarget you until you buy something.
Love it.
But
Thanks.
But yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
So I mentioned it before, but I loved this analogy that you taught me about when like clients just really couldn't understand ads and like what you were doing with it and like how it worked. And the gold mining analogy, do you remember that?
Refresh me, because
So
sometimes
it's
I'll be
basically
freestyling.
like, you know, like it's like we're going to mine for gold. Like month one, we're kind of going around to the different areas of the river. We're noticing
Yes.
this area is a little rockier. This area's got a little bit more sand. This area's got like this type of mud, whatever. And we start panning around. Let's say we pick like 3 different areas, right? At the end of that month, we're going to look at the results and we're going to know, wow, 80% of the gold came from that muddy spot. Let's go deeper.
Yes.
So that's basically like us figuring out where your ideal audience is, right? And then once we go into there, we're testing all these other creatives, we're doing all these other things, right? And we're finding out that the best gold is 40 feet down, right? We test that 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet. And we know that's us just basically running different creatives to see, hey, based in this little area, this is what's working the best. Then guess what happens? Like month 3, that's where we really turn it on because we found it. And we got to get all that gold out of there as fast as possible because guess what? Your competitors are going to see that we're doing this and they're going to be like, oh shit, this is a great idea. We should be doing this too. So our job then is just going to be to refine and stay ahead and basically keep things going. You know, that's why we work with people month to month instead of just like a one-time thing. This is a ever evolving, ever going thing. And that's where we kind of come in as your partner to help you. And that was like, I remember for me, even I'm like, oh shit, now I understand ads.
Well, you know, this is something to watch, and this is really dangerous because you know it wasn't all just like shininess; it's also business. So the reality too of I would get really good results with a client, and they tell someone else, but I would realize that they didn't really understand what I was doing because the campaign was working. And I was like, yeah, it's great, man. Every time I pay him, I make like that back. Results. I mean, my company's called Real Results, like REEL. Like, yeah, it works. That guy works, right? But clients would come in and then they would expect like, all right, let me pull the slot machine. And it was like, hey, month 1, I'm not rich. And it was like, all right, well, we'll give it another month. All right, I'll pay him again. Hey, what's going on, man? 3 months in. What are you doing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? We tested this. We're like, no. You got this many leads. Did you follow up with them? What is your closing rate? Have you addressed this with your sales team? Are you recording your sales calls? No. You are supposed to be getting me money. And what I learned was, it was like, I had to set up clear expectations. That was something I was like, I know it was an NLC, but you go through things and, you're going through the content like, oh, I felt like I got what I need. But then I realized it was like setting those expectations of who's like doing what and making them realize this is more of science than slot machine, And so when I was saying, like, when I would talk to them, I ask this question before I work with clients now. I'd be like, all right, 90 days from now, what would make you just absolutely feeling amazed, right? And then 90 days from now, what would you be absolutely fire mad about in working together? Sometimes, like, some people don't know, like, and I would find out, like, oh man, if I only get leads and not sales, I'd be mad. And that lets me know what to address and find this expectation gap early on. Because what I realized quickly is if you start running at people have really bad experiences with marketing companies, like, oh, this company came in and just wined and dined me. And then next thing you know, just rip me up. And everyone will always believe the business owner. You could come in and be like, well, no, like iOS 14 happened. And then I had to set up Google Analytics, UTM tracking to better understand the data. And then, we were looking at everything. The conversion showing in Facebook ads were different than the conversion showing in Google Analytics. And they're like, yeah, stop trying to hypnotize me and all that. And people were like, I'm not trying to hypnotize you. I'm literally trying to explain what's going on. And so when I started doing all that type of stuff, I was like, let me back up and find out. I got to get how much they understand and what they don't want just as much as they do want. And when I did that, my campaign started doing even better because I actually got more buy-in from them. Like, they didn't understand everything I was doing, but I started doing kind of like a funnelytics, like, diagram of their funnel. Like, hey, look, this ad to this, to this, to this. And then here's your KPIs, right? And then we're going to improve this. Because I had one client one time, it was another real estate client, and they're like, your leads don't work. And I said, are you following up with them immediately? oh no, I get back to them in like 3 or 4 days. I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? I'm like, how did you get to this point? You don't follow up with leads until 3 or 4 days in a market like this. And, you know, it just kind of reeled in the, you know, extreme nature of dealing with clients to like, oh yeah, you're right, Bryant. Let me make sure I got my Zapier connection set up with these leads. So it goes straight to my CRM and we'll do a notification email as soon as they pop in. I'm like, all right, cool, I can do that. And they would respect. And what I learned is I had even one client who was like, oh, you ripped me off in this. And they came back a year later and they're like, you were right. You were right about iOS 14. You were right about tracking. You're right about like just making sure like each step of the sales funnel, like we're just doing incremental improvements. You know, you're right about doing creative testing. It takes more than one ad to find the best positioning. And you're also right that my offer was not good. It's sometimes tough pills to swallow when you work with a client and you think their like offer is great because they got the nice office, they're in a great location, they have a huge team, but it's like, you still need a great offer. I don't care how big you are because people don't care. You get a million ads every day. So, you know, they'll take some smaller client they've never heard of with a great offer. I mean, that's how we did it with the law firm, you know, mobile closing. There were people who've been doing real estate closings for years, but it's like, dude, you'll drive to me? Get that. It's like Netflix, no late fees. Duh. Like, I don't have any more sympathy with Blockbuster, you know? And so what I learned a lot going through this NLC process, like first it was like, yo, I know how to do this. You kind of get that confidence. Like first I can understand this, then I can sell it, then I can execute it. And then it works. But then you run into, oh man, it didn't work for somebody. Why? But then I realized a lot of times it was more in expectation setting.
How many clients were you working with at once? Like, let's say the first 6 to 12 months.
I would float between 4 and 5. And I was like always sitting around like 8 to 10K. You know, I do like 1,500 to like 2,500, sometimes 3,000, depending on the industry. And, you know, what I learned about that too is at first when I did NLC, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna just run this up. Just get as many clients as possible. But then I realized I could just go deeper with
that's what I was getting at. Going deep is like, even for us now, like we were talking today about like, oh, we got all these, we could go after this or this or this. And it's like, how do we just 10X with the people we're already working with? Like, you know,
say that 10
no
times.
outreach, no this, like no contract negotiations, no figuring out new brands. Like, how do we just go deeper? And really by looking at that, you realize from that call with Christian, honestly, that gave me a lot of ideas. Have you heard of ClickUp, Bryant?
Yep.
Okay, so basically like you can build drag and drop like software, white label software, and it's all like landing pages. You can integrate Calendly, Google Docs, all this great stuff. So anyways, he has 26 dance studio clients to where he systematized it to the point where he sends clients a PDF. They film things on their smartphone. They send it to him. He has a formula that he just edits these ads together, pops them in a commercial campaign, sets up, duplicates a landing page, changes like the headline, you know, the creatives. So he just hired his first free VA with 22 clients now. So he's just been managing 22 clients at 21,000 a month with really systematizing and simplifying everything. But the whole thing was he, me, you, everyone I know, like it's going deep with that one or two people. And as you're doing that, you're realizing, oh, wait, this other client I've been only doing this for, they probably could benefit from that, right? And you go to that client, hey, I've been working with this client and these people have been teaching me all these crazy things. Like, we got to do this. Okay, great. You've been doing a great job. It makes sense. Boom, you know, and just keep stepping up every way. So I'm realizing that our one, like 7 to 10 grand a month client, depending on what we spend on ads, is realistically like a 50K budget if we can dial that in over the next like 3 months or so, because they have 28 individual dealers that all want marketing and don't have websites and don't want to manage that shit and don't want to deal with Calendly and their boat installers, you know? And I'm like, how do we go deeper? Let's just put in the work to build it for one dealer, show the client, hey, this is what we're thinking. And we could build dealers 750 to 1,000 a month. And then you cover the 10 grand. And like, now we're 5x everything that you do. It only helps, you know, where's the win-win offer? So that's like what I'm working on, is like literally doing the work to build the win-win offer, to dial that in, to present to 30 people at once.
Well, that's what's dope about that, because at that point, like what I also learned after doing this, like now in the 3rd year, is like become the leader of one mountain. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to climb like 10 mountains and be a tour guide for 10 different mountains. And as you do campaigns, you know, you might be able to do videos for a lot of different things, like testimonials, right? Like all those types of things. Which usually if I'm trying to get into industry, that's always my hook, because everybody's like, hey, you want me to film people saying amazing things about you? And they feel extremely comfortable about it, and it's going to look great, and I'm going to optimize it for social. Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll schedule everything. Okay. And we'll run it as an ad. Great. You know, that's how I usually get in. And then it's like, all right, cool. After they do that, I learn about so many problems. So I have another client, Goodwill, out here. They're regional. So Goodwill's a regional. So another angle. So I'm in the real estate space with campaigns, but like production wise, I found a different angle. And I will say what you were talking about, like, hey, here's this list, everybody film this. I did a model where it was like, hey, we'll do content for the quarter. So we'll film like your whole quarter of messages. So what I realized is video is just messages. And it's like, what messages do you want for the market? And it's like this. And so I kind of broke it down of like people who don't know you from a can of paint, people who are already on your email list, people who are your like low tier customers, and people who are your high tier customers. And I guarantee you guys have all these on email lists and customer lists. Let's get all the content, and we can create email campaigns that drip out to all these different audience segments, right? And then now your email marketing is super engaging because you have this like video series, or what I would call a signature series. So a lot of companies have these huge email lists, and all they do is hit them with offers, but nobody's actually building community. So I call them community building campaigns, because only 3% of a market is ready to buy at any given time. So what about the other, you know, chunk of the market? You know, I think it was like 67% actually will buy, another like 30% will never do business with you. So you have this like 67% pie of people who maybe saw your ad or follow you, or they're on your email list or whatever. Let's nurture them. Let's get all those messages. Once I got all the messages, they would let me shoot whatever I want. Right. Well, after I finish the shoot, now I haven't told many people this, but I transcribe all my footage and then give them a searchable soundbite library. No video, just the transcription. And then they'll be like, oh, can we pull this out and pull that and make an edit? And then I give them like so many edits a month we'll do. So I let them choose the message. Like, yeah, just hit Control F. There you go. And then we'll edit it up for you, because they're always worried about message. So just give them a sheet of, this is John. John said all these.
So we do that when we do conferences and clients want value videos. We do one of two things. Here's the full free 4 hours, pick your 10 spots. Or we'll do like, let's say they want 5. It's like, we'll do 6. So we're always budgeting for 1 extra. And you have to know that we're using our best judgment. And we're going to do 1 extra every week or month or whatever, to ensure that at least there's something if you don't like it. But like, let them know, because sometimes you'll do 6 and they'll be like, oh, I don't like 4 of these. And you're like, well, all right, let me go watch 3 hours again and try to find more, you know? And then they're like, no, I don't like these either. It's like, well, what the fuck do you want? Because there was nothing else in there, you know? So, and then, because the other good thing too, is like when we get clients at conferences, specifically 3-day conference, and they're like, yeah, just grab some clips from that. And I'm like, I always specify, client will specify 5 to 7 good moments they would like us to incorporate in this video. And then, because what always happens is they're like, oh yeah, no problem. And then they're like, oh, can't you guys just do that? And we're like, no, remember, like part of the deliverables was you do that. And then they're like, that's 3 days of footage. Like, when am I going to have time to do that? And we're like, well, put it from our perspective, we probably have to do that twice, to go through all that footage, clean it up, this and that. So it costs way more on this end. We can do it, no problem. Like we were just trying to save you a little bit of money because you said you would. So something I learned the hard way.
And what I also realized is, going even back to Goodwill, like there's different directors in some of these organizations. And you're talking about dealers. So it's like the marketing director is like its own business. Then it was like the funding director. They need to get donors. They need people to donate stuff to them. Whole same business, going back to going deep. They needed a video. They're like, can we get a testimonial? And then I was like, another one was like, can you explain this program? So I realized even for if you want to go into like well-known organizations and stand out even, to open up, because I couldn't do campaigns with them, but it was like, okay, if you want to do some type of content, it was like they would have offers that people were confused about. And the hard thing for them is they'll be like, yeah, they have on-site video teams and stuff, but it's just for like consumer content. They would have like B2B deals. Like, hey, we're trying to, partner with this hospital on this huge drive. We need someone who understands what the hospital wants. We need someone who understands what we want and create a video that makes both languages make sense to each other. And so what I kind of did is like, I was like a value translator. And this video was like the golden parcel of like, yeah, that is what we want on our side. And yeah, that is what we want on our side. And it's like, how did you say it so clearly, man? And that was the value prop of it, because what I learned also in a lot of like, I would start saying this, I was like, there's no such thing as a boring business, just boring stories. And they were like, yeah, our business is too boring. Video doesn't work. I was like, that's like saying math doesn't work. I was like, it's like, maybe no offense, but like they laugh at it, but it's like, come on. Like,
right.
Like that's a bold statement. And I was like, I would say like, let me show you, like, and what I would do with them is how I got into that space is I would say like, what are the biggest misconceptions people have about you? Boy, do the value props just flow. People think we only do this, but we really do that. People think we only do this and really that. People think that we don't have any offers for this audience. So it's like 3 or 4 campaign ideas or content series ideas just start flowing. So what I would start doing with them is like, hey, let's do a misconception campaign. And I said, it's going to not be boring because it's like, yeah, I bet you guys think we only do this. Well, actually, and it's like, sometimes it's actually fun. It's like Dollar Shave Club energy. You're working with like a brand like Goodwill. Because you're like, they get to walk in this confidence of like, you guys thought we only sold clothes? No, we actually do job training. Let me show you guys how our process goes from your donations to actually somebody getting job training in IT. Now I've challenged the audience and now they're engaged because they're like, there's no way Goodwill's actually useful. Prove it to me. And that's how we made an interesting story out of something that was boring. You know what I mean? And once I found that out, because I was talking to the marketing director last week, and she was like, that's why we love you, Bryant, because you really don't understand like how to make everybody win. And going back when you were talking about win-win, like that was something at NLC, we're talking about these like win-win offers. They have a team that has better cameras than my team. All right, going back to just this whole gear, and I know kind of people have beaten it to death. It's not about gear and all that, but it's like, no, who gets me? And that's that vertical understanding. Like, no, I get you guys. I am one of us, and I can help provide clarity for both ends and not waste anybody's time. And that's what really worked really well, because there was no one else like it. When you can start talking like that, you can kind of like coin yourself as whatever you want to coin. Like, oh, he does customer journey media. Well, what is that? Well, come to my webinar. I'll explain it to you. It's like content for each step of your customer journey. It's going to improve your sales conversions. It's going to help people remember you. It's going to help eliminate misconceptions. The reason why video hasn't worked is because a lot of creatives don't care about your business model. They just care about their images and their quality. And I care about both. And they're like, oh, great. And I would always say like, hey, if you guys don't look good, I don't look good. If you guys don't win, I don't win. I'm not coming in here to get my fire color grade and my fire images and then kind of leave you guys hanging. And what happens is I realized too, working with like marketing directors, you got to give them a way to position you as different to their bosses while making them look good. So it's like, hey, he showed us that like we literally could keep our same funnel. It's already working, but this video right here, oh my gosh, that would just work so much better. If we had like a library of testimonials, that would work great. And then they would say this, but it's so hard to make people feel comfortable in those. Oh, he's amazing with people. He really gets them in state. He's really like a director. Da 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 da. And so you got to kind of give even people, like if you do work with a marketing director or a business owner, like they have a partner or something, give them like I don't know, like a rap sheet or like a positioning statement. Cause I would notice a lot of people like, oh, he's just great. He's just great to work with. It's just amazing. But they couldn't like articulate it. So if you can articulate your difference and have them start saying like how you're actually different, you know, it was like, wow. And so in doing that, I kind of became the like B2B or professional services content whisperer. Right. You know, because most of the times people were just doing these long podcasts that were super boring with really dry topics. They're doing content because Gary Vee told them to make content, or they're like jumping out of airplanes and there's no context of what's going on here. It's not even relevant to their brand. And so it's like, no, you can do an airplane jump, but like I did a video campaign. This is before I got kind of locked into real estate for a firewall company. They are a firewall IT security reseller company out here. And they were like, there's no way ads could work for us. I was like, bro, he's like, Facebook doesn't work. We tried. I was like, you know why? Because you're not talking to IT people like we're on Reddit. I said, we need to have a campaign that feels like the Reddit IT security section. This audience is extremely skeptical, very technical, and they like gear that works. And they love making fun of gear that doesn't, that is positioned as stuff that works. And then I noticed at their office, they had a literal pinball arcade. And I was like, what? And I was like, so what they did is they resold like Cisco firewalls and like all these other IT networking systems. So we made a commercial. I wrote out the scripts like we do in NLC and stuff. And I wrote out like 4 different scripts. And like the one that worked the best was like, I know, you know, buying IT gear, because it was IT buyers that they were trying to target, or people who ran like IT security shops who buy IT stuff for their clients. I was like, I know buying IT security gear doesn't feel like this. And I did like one of those like zoom ins. And then it was like you know how it has like it zooms in on the hand of like somebody doing something like, and it was like the guy playing pinball and like winning. And then he like slow-mo zooms out. It's like, yeah, buying IT gear doesn't feel like this, but we got fast shipping, this, that. And we got 5-star reviews, over 100 of them, you know. And that campaign, they were like, yo, this is sick. And then people were like laughing at it, you know, online. They were actually taking the next step, becoming leads, calls. And then we did other ones that were product videos. And I would do videos this was this most simple ad copy, but it was like, hey, do you have an office that has 15 to 25 employees? Do you hate malware? Then you'll love this. Facebook, because the creative was so targeted, I did like IT security people, but they would try to like niche down and be like, let's target everything. I was like, you shouldn't run a campaign like that. You got to open it up, man. They were trying to find like, who's the guy who's like the IT buyer? Like, no. Open it up, make the creative the targeting, and then watch all the people come to you, because the algorithm will find them for us. And when he saw that, he was like, wow. It was like literally like 30 guys just trolling positively. Like, oh yeah, I love this thing, but I hate this other thing. I'm like, look at all this data you're getting, bro. Let's put that on a spreadsheet. Here's all the products they hate. Here's all the products they love. Let's retarget everyone who engaged with this ad with the other products.
Like, always go through your comments and stuff, guys, because or comments on other like videos in the industry. So like going to YouTube, going through all the comments on like a competitor's video, seeing what questions people are asking, seeing what they like, what they don't like. Always a good way to generate new ideas for your content. Steve, you had a question. Where you at?
Yeah. Hi.
Yo.
So you mentioned that you dealt with some marketing directors in the past. And you know, I deal with a combination of people who have marketing directors and people who don't. Have you ever run into any issues with marketing directors feeling like you are kind of taking their job or challenging their job, or maybe potentially like they're worried that because you do so much, like say you're making ads and all that stuff, you're worried that they're possibly worried that they're kind of like losing their value in their boss's eye? And if so, how have you dealt with that? How have you made sure that that marketing director feels like you're on their side?
All right, I'll show you something. First, I invite them to shoots and I give them one of these. So
Smart.
Like I make them, no, like that's serious. I make sure like the leadership is like a part of the experience. But I had a marketing manager at a company before. She never said it. You can see when someone's like, God, the guy's good. Like energy. And so I would say like, but then I would tell them, was like, I do, like, without saying it, I said, hey, this is what my job is. This is my goal. Like, let people know your goal is, and then just make sure it's clear that you never say it's to take their job. So I would say like, my position is you guys are doing a lot of great work with. So I'd actually compliment what the marketing manager is doing, or the directors. Like, I see what you guys do. You guys are running this, TV campaign. You guys have this going on. I see that you did this social thing. Like, you guys are doing a lot of great stuff already. I'm really here to just add fuel. Like, I'm really like, you guys ever play, like, I always use extreme analogies that makes everyone laugh. So it's like, you guys ever play Super Mario? You guys get like a mushroom? Like, you're still Mario, right? But I'm just here to give that campaign just a star or a boost. You know what I mean? And that's when you guys really want to have me come in, is I'm here to just be that power up. You guys are already powerful, right? You guys can already jump. You guys can already do all the moves and all that type of stuff. I'm really here to just add on to what you guys are already doing, because, I have, other clients I'm serving as well. And I just want to, I know our time is limited together. So I would say things like that, and it'd be like, time is limited together. It's not like I'm over here trying to say like, oh yeah, I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about selling the agency.
Ties into pre-framing, guys, and staying and like letting people know how busy you are and you got lots of things going on and just whatnot. Like, all of that ties into it. Like you said, when they don't feel threatened and they know you're there to make them more of a success, like that's all they care about. Like, look, I'm not here to take on what you do. Like, as a matter of fact, I have no desire to do that. What I'm here to do is just help you go 10 times faster and get better results. And like, two people can do way more together if I'm focusing just on what you need and giving, like, do you ever run out of content or come up with ideas and be like, oh man, if we had this, like, that's where you can come to me. Like, so I can be a huge help. And then we go to your boss and you're the rock star. Like, I don't need that. Just so, yeah.
Yeah. And I would always even say things like, too, like, hey, you tell me what you're like, if I felt like they were really like, maybe not even getting it, maybe I'd be like, hey, let's do a one-on-one, go out for coffee or whatever it is. And be like, yo, like, what are your goals? Let me help you, like, leverage me. I would say something like that makes them feel like, leverage you.
Yeah.
What? Who says that? Like, I'm like, no, like, leverage what we're doing here. Like, I'm not a competitor, I'm a partner. I'm dead serious. Like, I'm not interested. And I was like, you know what? Watch, just after this campaign, watch how we work. I am not here to take the shine. I'm here to really partner and come alongside you. I'm not here to take, because a lot of times I had one lady, she was like, oh my God, digital is our blind spot. And it was almost like, if the boss finds out this guy's the wizard, I'm like, I have no interest in being in your industry in that capacity, and like being in the day-to-day and all that type of stuff. Like I said, I am here. You guys spent a lot of time and a lot of money to get here. You guys have a lot of campaigns, and I'm here to just maximize the impact here. And when they hear that, that I'm here to just make sure they get to where they want to go, it actually reverses it, in my experience, where they're like, yo, I need this dude in my back pocket. Like, yeah, it's my guy. Until it's that energy where it's like, yeah, hey, Janice, didn't you bring Bryant on? That's one of the best partners we've had. Yeah. And now she can go plan the next market or next territory or whatever. And she's like, well, Bryant, she's coming to me with plays versus holding back. And now the marketing's hurting, the communication's hurting, because now people feel like there's a threat for the position.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times what you can do too is like, let's say during your earn the deal, they don't know the numbers, or the marketing director is like, oh, I can pull those, so I get them over to you. Like at the end of the meeting, be like, hey, like when you send those over, if you just want to send them to me, and like I can take a look and even give you some ideas that you could bring to your boss and like present them so that
Yes.
you look like the rock star. Like, let's do that, because I know the biggest hurdle for this is going to be you also believing that this works. And like the more input I can get from you, the more of the ideas, like take all the credit, like, you know.
Yeah, and I would even say like my angle is I would like to just have a case study of the impact of what we're able to do. You know, we're doing video, we're doing this, you know, like campaigns, not in like the marketing director is saying, hey, this is the chunk of the budget. That's like your best friend. They dictate how the budget is spent. So if they see value, their job is not to actually do the work. You know, they're the ones who are supposed to be like, we had this contractor, we did this event, we did this, you know, what are the KPIs? Tell me that I'm the CEO. Here's how ads are doing. Here's how that content's doing. Here's how event planning is doing. Here's how billboards is doing. Here's how radio is doing. That's their marketing director. You know, the problem is though, is we have skills, just being honest, when you learn all this, like there's a title now, it's called like growth marketing or demand marketing, like demand generation and growth marketers. Like they're people like us who literally know how to create. We're threatening to people because we can create content. We can communicate value, communicate offers, run ads, build landing pages.
We're 5 people in one.
Right.
Right.
So savage.
Create email campaigns, connect everything with Zapier, troubleshoot anything that doesn't work. It's like, it's really scary to someone who's a career been doing digital, you know, marketing direction for Fortune 500 brands or whatever. And you have this guy who's like Web 3.0 savvy, modern marketer.
Yeah.
And I tell people too, it's like, I value my freedom. If it gets to that point, like I just, you know, hopefully I don't have to get that deep with them. But if they don't get it, it's like, no, you want I'm not here for that. I want to go scooter.
For the sorry, Stephen, did you have more questions about this?
I was just going to bring up something specific to but kind of like what I've run into is like, especially when I've been in meetings with other so say a marketing director has a few different companies that they've chosen to work with, and you get into a meeting with everybody in the same meeting, right? And then all of a sudden everyone starts to realize that the results you're getting are better than what they're getting and more clearly defined, and you're not the one bringing that information up. But then all of a sudden a group of 5 people start attacking you and trying to pick and point holes in everything that you're doing. Have you ever been in a situation like that? And how have you handled that?
Yeah.
Because when you're doing a good job, sometimes it attracts the attention of people who are only doing an okay job, and they start attacking you.
Yeah. So what I do is I don't respond to people. I just ask more questions. So if somebody starts asking me questions, trying to poke holes, I'll be like, oh, hey, John, like, so, you know, what are you looking to, you know, understand better? Right. Like, just see if it's a confidence thing. It's like, yeah, but the leads are probably loose. I mean, what, 20 leads? I had a guy literally do that with a client. He was like 20. It was like, how many applications? Like, what, 30 people applied for jobs? It was like a recruiting campaign. Oh, these people must not have been real. I was like, have you opened the leads, John? I'm just asking just to see if you verified the quality. And sometimes you have to put on, like, people see one of these things, they're like, my cousin has one, and they put you in a very like lowly position, and you have to go like, look, you said the criteria for the leads, perfect leads. Is this right, Janice? This, this and this. And they did fill out the form. Is that accurate? And you said you've never been able to get that lead quality. That is all I'm looking to provide. I mean, this is the criteria that was asked for. And I'm just here to come and deliver that value. Now, yes, sometimes we don't get the absolute quality that we get, but based off of where we started, where we had no leads, no criteria, or if we did, there were some holes here. I'm just here not to make magic bullets or anything like this, but you see how I'm just here to add value. And the findings I find, I'm open to sharing with you guys as well, because the things I'm finding in my marketing can add to what you guys are doing as well, because I'm getting that real-time feedback, real-time data. And it makes them look terrible because I'm saying I'm doing whatever it takes to help the whole team win in this frame, in this position. And then they end up being the one that looks like, well, he's not that strong. It's like, dude, are we not focused on the same goal here? I thought everybody was here to make sure that this is the best quarter for XYZ company. And that's what I'm here to do. And if we have a slow month, yes, it's hitting now, but sometimes it doesn't hit. And I'm going to be here to answer the hard questions just at the same time. I'm not here to step on anybody. We're here to learn and improve as much as we can while we're here together.
Cool. Thank you.
Was that helpful or
That's helpful. Yeah. And it's similar to how I got through the situation, but hearing your approach to it will be helpful in the future for sure. As I know this will come up again, especially if you're working with bigger companies, like they're going to have multiple people and they're going to have marketing directors, and they're going to feel challenged if you're not careful, if you don't approach it the right way. So this is very helpful.
And I will say this too. I had a client who was literally trying to pick my brain. I literally saw it. It was, hey man, we just want to see if we could use some ads, just something light, just see. He's like, who should we target? I was like, I know exactly what's happening. Who should we target? Right. And I would just ask, I said, can you tell me what the offer is? Yeah, we have this XYZ service. It's like, do you guys have a landing page for it? I started asking questions. Well, yeah, I was like, is this what you would want me to run the targeting to and the ad to? Yeah. There's no call to action here. Do you guys I'm not trying to be nitpicky or anything. It was like when somebody starts jabbing at me, I literally just go back down to what's the objective, what's the customer journey? Because a lot of times they'll try to just pin you oh, can you make some little video ads? Can you just help me with some targeting? They try to minimize what you really do. And then when I reverse engineer, just like you do in NLC, it's start at the end. All right. Yeah. And then they're like, your pages have no call to actions. There's no clear offering here. These testimonials have the same face for 3 different people. Is Lorem Ceebz text or whatever. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, it's like, you got to tuck that in your pocket to be that guy or that woman when you need to be, because they'll come in there and start asking you for stuff as if you work for them, as just a free brain to pick. And what you always have to do is say hey, who should we target? Well, what's your objective? What's your destination? And so one thing I learned for myself is I never give anybody any strategy or execution unless I understand their destination they want to go and the deadline. It's like somebody saying, how much does a flight cost?
Got to know their expectations.
Where are you going to Hawaii tomorrow?
Yeah.
You want it as a discount? That wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I used to be guilty of just because I just learned it. So I'm like, oh yeah. So what you want to do is to just show I know red flags.
Guys, I'm going into, I've told you about the realtor I've been talking to. This is probably our 4th earn the deal meeting, because each time we do, we get an hour and then we both got to bounce off. But we uncover something new to where I'm like, whoa, this changes kind of everything. I actually can't work with, I was putting the proposal together over the weekend for $5,000 a month just for reels and just micro content. I'm like, it's so dumb just to do micro content when we can be doing long format videos if you're building your YouTube at the same time and then cutting that into micro content. What why do all of that and then be okay, that's dialed in. now let's do this. Like, we know how to do all of that. You just can't see all 10 steps ahead of you. Like, you can't even see step 1 right now. And that's what you're struggling with. So like, let us just like do what we do. And the benefit of this is, if we need to run ads, great, we can shift budget here, we can do this, we can do that. Like, we can take care of your landing pages. Like, your landing page, like when you come here, I was doing a video message, like, this is the first thing people see. It's a rendering and it's low quality. And you're a luxury real estate brand trying to be like the #1 in South Florida. Like, you're competing against $1 million listing is the first thing people see. And then the videos you have here are like, you don't have a mic on when you're doing your home tour, and it like just ruins the house. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's $1 million house. It looks like shit. Your brand looks like shit. And this is the first people see of you. So I don't care that you get all your leads from Instagram right now. You have 7, 8 agents working under you. You're working 16 hours a day. Like, your systems are fucked. Like, I can just tell. So the whole point being, don't be afraid to say, hold on, like, we need to figure this out to be able to do this. And if it gets like too far in, basically what I said to her is, look, we can just, for $1,500 for 3 hours, I'll do the full consult deep dive, give you the whole strategy plan, everything. You don't even have to agree to the, I guess it would be 25K for the rest of the year, until that plan makes perfect sense. So in other words, instead of me just taking another hour or 2 to further fully explain it, like, I'm like, I know this works. I know what we need to do. I know you just don't see it because we've been talking over the phone and this and that. Like, give me an hour. Let me paint the picture for you, walk you through it, show you how this all works. And like, if you're not sold on this, like, legitimately, I don't know where you're going to find anyone else anywhere to be able to do this, like, other than people in my program. Like, so yeah, she's just not even talking to the other companies now. It's the same deal. She's like, you're right. They're thinking about step 1, and then we're going to do that. And then I'm just going to be even busier and not have less time. And my systems are broken. And I'm like, that's why we need to take it all on, because I know if we're just handing you hard drives of content or Dropbox folders of content every week, like, you're not even going to have the time to post it, type of deal. And then you're going to say, hey, this is too much. We need to stop, like, until I get some other stuff in place. And that's the opposite of what you need to do right now. You need to build your system, attract new talent, find ways to automate your email leads coming in. Like, why are you manually taking leads from Instagram, typing them into an Excel sheet, and then sending them to your agents? Like, that is insane. Like,
Yeah.
So, and they just don't know any of that stuff. But like, through all the meetings, you find out, hey, you're working 14 hours a day again. You're super overwhelmed. You have no idea with content what to do. You need a plan. And she wanted a proposal because everyone else is sending her proposals, like pretty looking proposals. And I'm like, I can't, like, here's kind of the general outline, but like, can't give you a proposal because this changes every week based on what we're doing. So like, anyone who has a cookie cutter formula for the next 6 months for you, like, I would strongly really look at how much that is going to help when you're just pumping stuff into a broken system.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want people to see you as the specialist doctor, not the generalist.
Yeah.
You know, I don't expect my family care doctor to do surgery on me. It's fine, right? But they got to know you know how to do surgery. And that's usually, even in your own value videos and your own positioning content, like, let people know you understand their customer journey. Whoever understands the customer journey wins the client. Few people understand people's customer journey, even their employees.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's weirdly, I market for my clients well, but not for myself. But anyway, so I know I think it was Raymond. You had a question, right? So I don't want to be taking up too much time.
Yeah, it was kind of more about I guess that gym that you were working with, Bryant, that you said you were like launching, but they hadn't they already had the gym in place, and did you guys just do like a pre-launch, a pre-sale kind of thing? Essentially. Okay.
Again, you can do what I learned is the only thing you need is an offer.
Right.
You can sell something without building it as long as you promise to build it by a certain date. It's like when people pay for a house that's not built yet. It's like new construction. And then they buy the house and then they're like, all right, cool. And then it gets built. And I'm like, oh, genius. They don't like wait for it to get built. It's like, yeah, that's our house right there. That lot with no house on it. You know, and when you're doing an ad campaign for that, it's like all you have to know is your offer is just a promise that you can fulfill predictably. That sounds amazing, you know. And so we sat there and had to make financial sense, you know what I mean? Because and then I even asked him what was good even about that. I was like, are you looking to break even? Are you just like, dude, I'll take a loss because I know I'll make it back, because he knew customer lifetime value of his industry and things of that nature. So that's why I just find like businesses that do like 500K plus tend to work the best for me, because they've got employees, they understand systems.
I usually say a million, same deal.
Yeah, even, yeah.
A million people, systems, processes in place, ability to scale. You know, when you ask the question, how many clients are you working with right now? How many clients do you have the potential to work with? In other words, like, what is your capacity? So if they're working with 20 clients and only can take on 22, that's a huge difference between 20 clients and can take on 100. If someone only needs 2 clients and they're like, they're going to get those 2 clients and be like, all right, thanks, we're good right now. So just understanding where their head's at.
Yeah. And that was the biggest shift for me. Just like, I like to not, I'm not like a supremacy energy or anything, you know. I mean, a lot of creative people are like that. We're like empaths and stuff like that. And you meet some business owners who can be a little crazy, and you'd be like, oh man, I'd never want to become that. And it keeps you from like walking in your own confidence. But really, you guys got to like, a lot of these problems get destroyed when you just walk in there and own the room with empathy, because you found out what they need and you say, here's something that we're going to implement and help you guys with and build and, you know, make this a win for everybody. But when you walk in there, I mean, I dress completely different now when I do like client stuff, you know, like when I'm meeting them, because they feel that energy, right? But then at the same time, once that kind of personal respect boundary is set, go, shoot, like this dude's legit. Like, because what happens is early on in your business, people will view you like, oh, this guy's hustling, trying to figure out a way to get in the door, versus like, oh, this guy's built an amazing system, you know. And that was one of the things I started using in my language. I've built, you know, we build systems, we build, you know, video content, customer acquisition and talent acquisition systems that really can streamline a lot of your guys' things. And, you know, I'd love to, you know, hop on a call and just, you know, get a better understanding of your customer journey and see if this could be a good fit for you. So I built this. Is this a good fit for you? If it's not, you know, let me see if there's something that we can put into place. And if it absolutely doesn't work, no problems. You know what I mean? I'm not, and even if you need that client, that energy of like, I don't need you. People are attracted to things that are moving away from them.
You want what you can't have. Ooh, girl, that's too damn bad.
But you're like, yo, please, let me show you this campaign, please. And then they're gonna be like, yo, I want 18 revisions. And you know what? It's been 2 days and I haven't made any sales. This is not gonna work. Versus someone who's like, it's gonna take 90 days, Linda, and you might not even break even. And I did the calculations here. And these cover all 7-year touch points. All right, you're right, Bryant. A lot of people just want somebody to tell them what to do that are knowledgeable in the space, and then just give them the hard truth like a doctor.
Right. So guys, I have a friend who is a biomedical engineer. He basically builds like robots for hospitals, medical devices, stuff like that. But when clients come to him, basically they come to him with a problem and they say, we need to try to figure this out. He says, how the hell are we going to figure this out? Like, I have no idea. Like, legitimately, he's like, I have no idea what to do. But if there's anyone who's going to be able to figure it out, it's us. So we can start like 6-month retainer up front type of deal or something like that, you know, and I can't guarantee you we get anywhere. But you're probably looking at 2 full years of work on this to try to even get that in place. And companies, you know, this is what they do. They pay because they realize they need to. This is at like a much higher level, obviously, like pharmaceutical, medical companies, stuff like that. But it's the same thing within the companies that we're working with, right? It's like, look, this is something that are you intending to just like stop doing business in 3 months, 6 months? So why would we be only looking at that? Like, we need to be building your system and your framework for the next 5-10 years. Like, let's build this so that your kids never have to work. You know what I mean? Like, figuring out what their ultimate end vision is, and then explaining it to them in a way like, this is what we need to do. And I can't guarantee results, but what I can guarantee you is by taking these steps, we're going to be 10 times further ahead than if we don't take the action. Because remember, we figured out if we don't, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen.
Yep. There's a word too. I stopped calling myself a content creator and I started saying like an acquisition designer. And so even that, like, what even what you're saying is like, I can't guarantee, but I'm going to design a system that's then, because like if you start running the numbers and it's like, hey, if we get leads at this price, makes sense. They see what you're working towards when you are testing creative, when you are optimizing copy, when you might be repositioning the offer, because those KPIs are there. Most people who might say, oh, I can't guarantee results, and then they don't have any math or numbers to make it make sense, then now it just feels like, man, they may pulled a fast one over me. Versus, yeah, second month we got close, then the third month we went down, fourth month broke even, fifth month, that's when it hit. And I like what you even said, I've done this before, but I didn't think to really like show it. I do a visual, like if I had a visual of 3 years or 2 years and be like, yo, this is 90 days.
Yeah, I
then-
actually always have the reset realistic expectations graph from NLC. I'll pull it up real quick, I think. And I just shared this in the Slack channel, guys, under, if you guys didn't see, I shared like NLC and Earn the Deal, just notes. But I always bring this up. I'm like, look, like the way Facebook works is you have to buy the Facebook from data. I mean, you have to buy the data from Facebook. So what, like, I don't want, most companies are going to say, look, we need a minimum 6-month retainer, this or that. I'm not asking for that. But no, we need at least 60, 90 days to even just be getting some initial traction to get this going, because this is how it works. But then once things get going, we start getting a little better. We start getting a little bit better. We test some new stuff. Maybe we waste a little bit, but then we start getting better, and we're building it up over the long term. So once again, it comes back to setting those expectations in the beginning so that come month 2, the client's not freaking out thinking they were going to get all these results. Now they're putting that pressure on you. Now you're freaking out, not knowing what to do. It just puts you in a real not fun situation. All right, who's got we got about 5 minutes. Who's got one last question?
That's Steven.
Yeah, I have one. How far into the weeds do you really get in your sales conversations when you're speaking with new clients? And what I mean by into the weeds is like, how detailed do you get? Do you use the profitability equation? What type of expectations are you setting for your clients regarding like what their results are going to be, or things like that? Like how far into that are you only promising that you're going to make them a system, and you're not really telling them every aspect of how it works ahead of time, like that kind of stuff?
For me, I mean,
sorry, that was a lot.
No. One of the things I learned too, even going through this process, is like, until they know what condition they're in, they'll never appreciate what you're going to do for them. So a lot of times you could say, give them $20,000 a month and all that. If you don't know that you're sick, and that the fact that you're standing and not in the hospital is a success, then you're going to be mad when someone says, oh, I can't run. And so when I'm on a call, I'm just like, hey, where have you been? You know what I mean? Like, you meet somebody, I've just met all you guys. I have no idea what you just came from. So you guys could have came from a burning building 5 minutes ago type thing and walked in here, and we're good at hiding. Right. So, but it's like, if I'm talking to someone, it's like, what has you interested right now, even in, advertising and all that. And then I'm quiet. They'll tell me like, oh man, they're probably gonna start talking about what's not working, da 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 da. Man, that's crazy. And I mean, why that specifically? What do you think he can do for you? Trying to see what their expectations are, what they think he can do. Man, I saw a guy, dude, he did one ad, made 10K. It was insane. And I just know ads is the way. So I'm like, okay, so magic bullet ads. All right. And then, I'm like, what matters most to you? So I mean, same thing as like earning the deal, like setting the stage and all that type of stuff. What are you looking for? Like, what's your, this is something I personally found. I would say, like, I would find out, like, so you currently want to do ads, you don't have a sales process, da, 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 and then do you have an offer that's working? What's your best working offer right now?
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Do you know why it's working? All right. And what audience works best? And as I kind of asked audience, offer, and credibility. And then, do you have any proof around that, like testimonies or anything? They're like, nah. And so without even telling them what system I build, I'm hinting at those are elements that you need to be successful. You can't be successful at ads without understanding your audience. You can't be successful without an offer. You can't be successful without credibility, because that's what we need to run a campaign. And so when I find out, oh, so you want to get to 50,000 a month, don't have a proven offer, you just don't know who your audience really is, it's kind of all over the place, and you really don't have too many reviews, or much credibility around that offer yet. You have a lot of credibility with this other offer, but not this one. But you want to run a campaign on this offer? Yeah. And so when I let the conversation get to that point, and they're like, wow. And they, every time I do that, just by asking those questions, it's like, wow, you're making a lot of really good points. They're seeing how I think about campaigns. They're seeing I have a campaign mindset. And so, I'll ask them, I was like, realistically, because usually they're coming up high. I want this lottery. That's what I've gotten, like lottery numbers, success. And then I bring them down to earth. And it's like, no, realistically, John, like, what do you really need this to do? Right. Just even like break even, really, I mean, we need about 20 leads a month. If you could get 20 leads a month, what are you getting now? About 10. And how much time does it take to do that? Dude, I'm on every networking group. I'm DMing everybody. So just how many hours? 10, 15? Probably like 20. So what if I took that off your plate? All right. And then put a system in there to get us in alignment so we can actually attract these 20 people. And we actually had data to improve that. Because right now, do you keep track of your kind of organic approach? Nah, man, I actually should have been. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, you're a smart dude. Then I go into earn the deal. Well, what do you need me for? To be honest, man, like just hearing how you're talking about this whole thing, I just realized, like, dang, man, you're making marketing sound a lot more like simple, practical. Sounds a little silly, to be honest. No, it's not to be silly. It's just a lot of people sell a lot of the wrong things, man. And I'm really here to just help people do it the right way. And that's, make sure the audience is locked in, the offer, the credibility, and it's testing. So usually 90 days, we get to a sweet spot. Is that something that you'd be interested in, like learning more about? Yeah, well, we have a system. I don't tell them what it is. It's like, we know the specific videos, the specific pages, the specific messaging, the specific offers, the specific like framing of everything, like when it comes to the message. And we really like custom tailor that to you. So first we have to do it like a deeper discovery once you start to really understand you guys, your customer, all those aspects that we were talking about, how you were saying there's some holes in your audience, holes in the offer, holes in the credibility. Look at your sales process, and then really we were able to put all the right pieces specifically tailored for you guys. And really for setup, it ranges, but it starts at this price. And then, for the 90 days, this is what the numbers would be. And by that time, I've gotten control of the conversation because they feel like I've actually asked a lot of questions that make sense to them. They want to come in there knowing how much it is, and I'm coming in there trying to understand if they even understand what situation they're in. Because going back to what Ceebz was talking about, dude, I don't want to create a Band-Aid for you. What I want to create for you is something that is going to actually be the foundation that allows you to make better decisions because you got consistent lead flow, you have consistent data, and you actually have someone who understands this, who's not trying to blind you with meaningless metrics. It's going to be something that everybody understands. This is a transparent process, and I just need you to understand that I'm here to help you. just as much as, you know, there is a financial transaction happening.
Yeah.
Once I do that, it's like, oh my God, wow. Thank you.
Okay.
My goal at the end of a sales call is to get somebody to say thank you. If I get them to say thank you, they'll remember me because I actually provided some type of value. And then when I reach out to them again, I made them feel like, oh, this guy wasn't just like threatening me or, hey, John, yo, we're in a lifetime crisis here. Web 4.0 is coming. And if you don't hop on this call right now with me, you've got 90 days to make it. No.
Yikes.
Yikes. Yeah. And that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, kind of feels like a hug, even though I'm asserting authority over a situation.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, but I actually got a dip. I didn't know.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up. Bryant,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come join
yeah.
us. I know I got a ton of value. I took so many notes on just different stuff. It gave me a ton of ideas for some of the campaigns I'm working on. And maybe we could even see like one of those videos just about like the customer journey, an example we can share with the other members. So guys, give him a follow on Facebook, hit him up. And if you have any other questions, come to me first, but maybe we'll do another. I kind of want to do like an alumni reunion tour, you know?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, but then get like all the other alumni people to sync up to one day and just keep shit flowing, because I know how much everyone benefits from just sharing campaign best practices, etc. So
awesome, man.
That's it, guys. Bryant, thank you again.
Deuces.
And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Q&A. Let's go. Eastern time. Peace.